Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/beat and browse an unmatched selection of audio programs. Download a title free and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/BEAT.
And I see the robin.
I'm just searching for equality, looking for some reason, no finding no apologies. But I do want opportunity, hard work, it ain't new to me.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Rach Da Gem back for another week of Melanin Boulevard. This week, I'm super pleased to have Swan on the show. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you doing?
Good morning. All of that good stuff. Hello. Happy to be here on Melanin Boulevard. Love what you're doing. So excited to be here.
Thank you. So I met you last year at the Violator DJ retreat. And
Yes.
I've loved what you've been putting out there with your business, and I think you're amazing. So I'm glad to have you on the show to talk about what you do and how you feel about things. Before we get to know her, I just want to touch on something and get your opinion. I always say that we should not look to celebrities to provide us with any sort of inspiration when it comes to certain movements, right? I think a lot of them are out of touch and they're not on the ground and dealing with everyday normal life to make a comment. And are we wrong for expecting them to have a stance or make a comment? What do you think?
So that's twofold, right? So I think with power comes responsibility, right? However, I think sometimes we look to other people when the solution driver is ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so do I think that they have a social responsibility because they have the power and the capital? Yes, but everyone has their own choice and their own right to what they want to do and how they want to be a part of the movement.
Mm-hmm.
Some people use their voice, some people use their power, some people use their money, and some people merely use their influence. So I think as a society, if we're looking for them to make a statement or for us to visually see what they're doing, then kind of shame on us, right? Because we don't know what people do behind closed doors. We don't know what their stance is, what influence they're having, and what moves they're making behind closed doors. However, do I think we have a social responsibility as a people when we have the power and the capital and the influence and the sponsorship to make things happen? I do. So it's kind of twofold. Too much is given, much is required. However, we need to kind of look within before we start to self-judge others by what we see, because we have no clue, right? We're just seeing into what they can do. I do agree with, though, they are sometimes not in touch with the everyday reality, right?
Right.
When you're a celebrity and you have the money and the capital, what you're doing is different from us. We may have the feet on the ground. And even some social classes, depending on where you are with upper middle class, sometimes I think that they're detached as well. Because they may be a little bit more into the corporate limelight or everything is good and they don't have that financial struggle. And so they forget sometimes where they came from. And so I think that constant consciousness and that reminder of this is where we all are as a whole, as a people, and our social responsibility of where we need to go. And everybody needs to do their part regardless of what their part is. So I know that was a long answer.
No,
but
I agree.
That's kind of my take on that.
I agree. So Kaya made this video and it kind of went viral, referring to Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne has been in the business since he was a preteen,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
He grew up with a different outlook on life, and I feel like the people that he was surrounded by and the influence and the money and the lifestyle put him in a bubble where he was kind of protected from what normal everyday Black people go through. So he made a statement basically to the effect of George Floyd's death should be blamed on Black America, and there's nothing more that we can do as a people about the wrongful deaths and killing and murders of Black people. So
I don't agree with his statement.
Yeah.
he was detached in his statement. However, I would want him to give me more on that statement, if that makes sense. So we can better understand exactly where he's coming from with his word choices, and to understand where he's going with that commentary, right? One of the best sit downs, and I don't remember the exact sit down, but T.I. kind of dove into some of Kanye West's comments, because they sometimes go along those lines. And he sat down and he had a conversation with him, because he wanted to understand, where were you coming from when you just took this sideways comment and just kind of ran with it, which is kind of what Wayne did a little bit, right? If we want to be completely honest and transparent. And when he dove into it, like you said, he's realized that he was kind of detached, and some of the things he didn't realize, and some of the things in his words he meant in a different way. And so I say that to say that is why it's always great to have a PR rep, and for someone to really coach and help you to understand what you're saying, the impact of it, and what you're going against when it comes to our culture and our people with your statements. Definitely don't want to blame our culture for the injustices and things that are happening to us, but that's how that statement can be taken.
Right.
And so I think that is where celebrities need to start to coach and educate each other. And that is where you should look to your team, your management, your PR, your friends, your family, your intimate circle to keep you with your ear to the ground, right? Because you're in the sky, so you need an ear to the ground, and that's where your circle is your responsibility and accountability partners. And that's why they say you're only as good as the people around you. So no matter if you are a star, you're at the top. If you don't have the right circle to keep you grounded and humble, you will make statements like that.
Definitely. I agree. He also, just kind of to back that, he said that he had never experienced racism, and there was a situation with a cop, and he didn't have a bad experience. And so you can see where he would be like, well, what's really going on? Especially if you're not watching news, if you're not, he's probably not even really, on social media. He's in his own bubble. He's created his bubble in his own world that he gets to live in, and only as far as he can reach is his reality. He doesn't, go too far out. And the people around him, if this isn't like conversation, how can you not talk about what's going on in the world? And if he made this statement to someone in media, I feel like he probably made some statements like that
in conversation with other people.
Yeah, because it had to be a conversation. And at that point, again, look to your team. There should have been someone there that's like, hey, no, this is what's really going on.
Check your team up.
Yeah.
Check your team. There's definitely something going on. And are you so detached, right, from New Orleans? Right. You have to be very detached from your family, your roots, your childhood upbringing, because even as a child, as a Black child, as a child of color, you will see things. Right. You will see interactions with police. You will see neighborhood interactions. You will see how we're treated. I mean, I'll never forget. My brother was in his young teens, and him and my mother were pulled over with my baby nephew in the car. And the way the police took them out the car, searched them, all that, my brother was so worked up and upset, he threw up everywhere. Right. And that's an experience. As a teen, he hadn't even become an adult yet. He was like a preteen. And so to say that, I haven't experienced it doesn't discredit that it's going on. Right. And I think that is part of the problem, not just with others, but also people of color. Like, right, we gotta, just because it didn't happen to you doesn't mean it's not going on. Right. And that is a blame game, and something that we talk about when it comes to abuse or mental illness or health issues. Just because it did not happen to you doesn't mean that it's not a societal norm, and it doesn't mean that it's not going on. And I think that comes from just being able to be empathetic, and not just providing empathy, but being sensitive to someone else's situation. I may not be able to relate to a woman that's endured abuse. I can empathize with her feelings and her emotions. And I think sometimes we lack emotional intelligence. Like, Like, seriously, all jokes aside, like, it was one of the biggest things when I was going through my MBA program that I really honed on into. When they talked about business and said the number one thing that's missing is emotional intelligence, being able to connect and empathize with someone else, regardless of your point of view.
Right.
And we're really lacking that as a society. And that is the difference between good to great. Just quite honestly, it really is.
I so agree with you. I had a conversation with another podcaster on my show, and we were talking about basically that, like, there's lack of emotion and we're not allowing other people to give their point of view without attacking them. You know,
Yes.
he referred to the Breakfast Club interview with this politician. I totally forgot her name, but she went to prison, and you know, she got out and she was pardoned this year by Donald Trump, and she got on the show to talk about what she was running for and what she planned to do. But instead, they kind of like jumped on her for being a supporter of Trump. You may not agree, you may not like him,
but
or whatever. Don't attack her. Give her the opportunity to tell why she was pardoned by him. There's certain, you know, laws that he passed that supported and made her situation better, you know? So instead of us being so emotional as far as our opinion is the only opinion that matters, give someone the opportunity to explain themselves, because everybody has a different experience and a different point of view. So I thought, you know, that was important. And we just have to know that when people have money, even Kanye West hasn't had money all his life, you know, Lil Wayne.
But if it's the majority, they forget about when they didn't.
Right. It's so easy.
And that is my prayer. Like, if I make it, Lord, never let me forget the hard times. You know what I mean? Because that's what builds character. And that's what really is what builds sustainability. And people forget that. And regardless, I'm not a Trump supporter, but do I want to hear why someone else is, so I can understand their ways and their logic, so I can better address concerns and issues and show them love and compassion that they're not getting on that side, so they can at least see some of my viewpoints, or at least understand that I'm open to dialogue and I'm not coming from a place of being ignorant and wanting to overpower them. That is what's most important in this space. If we're going to get to a better place, it's really providing an open platform, because people aren't discussing with them, and all they are hearing is this crazy right wing or left wing noise, and they don't have the opportunity to really voice their feelings, their opinions, and then have open dialogue with someone else that differs in opinion from them.
Definitely.
And so their lack of better words, their ignorance just keeps circling.
And it's a great way to keep things divided. Why can't we all be cool but have different views?
Yes.
You know, I think some of my, best conversations are with people who don't necessarily think the same way as me. And there's things that I can take from that, even though I may not agree at all, but I can say, you know what, I can see how you feel that way. And it gives me just a broader view of that particular situation. You have to be able to see both sides of it and figure out why, with solid reason, not, emotion just because or whatever, but solid reason. And I think that's important.
And like you said, sometimes there are fact-based things that people can use for their side, even when I disagree. But if that is a fact, like if a law was passed or something did happen, then I cannot deny that fact, even though I don't agree with that opinion. Right. And that is where, on both sides, they can't hear those stories. Like, these are the facts. And then you get to form your opinion one way or the other.
Definitely. So thank you for that. I thought that was, pretty important today, because that video just kept circling, and I wanted to touch on that. But let's get to know you, Miss Swan. So just let everyone know what you do and, who you are.
So I am Swan 7 Productions, and I curate experiences in a nutshell. Whatever those experiences may be. I call it experimental planning. That is kind of the branding or the niche that I went into for 2020. So as an event planner, you kind of get grouped in this box, right? Okay, do you do weddings? Do you do galas, fashion shows, production? I do production management as well. And they kind of want to put you in this box. But 2020 has taught everyone to pivot. And I was even moving towards this in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, whatever it is that you want to create, let me help you curate that. And let me help you execute that.
Mm-hmm.
So you can think of an event as any type of experience. Say you wanted to have something for your podcast. When we actually met working with Violator DJs. We were on the radio with them, and I was helping with their Violator All-Star Weekend in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the type of things that people don't think about. They don't think about artist listening sessions or tours or book planning or podcast launches or, they typically just think about your weddings, your galas, your fashion or production management, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But anything creativity that can project to an audience, then that is what I want to do. And that is what I do. So in a nutshell, that's a little bit about me. I am based in Dallas, Texas, but I travel.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, we met up in Vegas.
Yep.
I'm always somewhere. I think I need to start a little blog, Where in the World is Swan? But
That'd
with
be
coronavirus, I'm a little bit, it has me just a little bit planted.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been able to travel as much as possible, just trying to stay safe. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. And in the meantime, really meeting some dope people. I want to kind of be known as the connector
Mm-hmm.
of things. I think that's part of the branding too, and part of the experience when you can connect people and when you can provide them with opportunities or connections that network will turn into a net worth.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is the other direction that I'm kind of going into as well.
I love it. But first, let's shout out DJ Super. Hey, DJ Super.
Yes,
because
hey,
of
DJ
him. He's my favorite DJ.
In the whole wide world. I wish he could come DJ for me every Saturday. I probably get on his nerves.
Listen, you already know he don't mind. He don't mind at all.
I know.
So with the planning and incorporating building relationships, because that's really what
Yes.
you're doing. You're building relationships. Not only are you creating an event, but you're also providing a service. And a value to what you do. You're not just saying, come out and support. You're saying, come out, make some connections. Maybe you can get something else out of this that will go beyond this event. How did you start in event planning?
So it's funny that you said that. It kind of started as it's more or less a family trait. So my mother, since I was a little girl, she would throw this huge fashion and talent show for the entire city where I grew up.
Wow.
And if you were related to her, lived on the block with her, if she knew your parents, you were involved in the show in some manner. Like you would get voluntold. That's my new coin niche. There was no really asking. It was like, hey, you're modeling. Hey, you're dancing. You're singing. Hey, you're helping. You're volunteering. And so I've been doing that with her since I was a little bitty girl. I was very shy, but with her, she pushed me right into doing whatever, whether it was participating or helping her actually facilitate it, right? So then we moved on to college. And when I got in college, I was kind of really outgoing and I hit the ground running with a couple of organizations and we started throwing parties. Then a couple of my friends started getting married. And I was like, well, let me help you, plan the wedding and I'll coordinate it the day of. I'm good at that. I know how to do that. And then lo and behold, a couple of years later, I was like, you know what? I started doing things corporately, internally. And then I was like, I'm going to launch this business for myself. I'm not going to just continue to be contracted under other people. I'm going to launch my own platform, do things my way, and give them, the Swan touch. And that is how we got to Swan Productions that was launched a couple years ago. But I've been in the industry and in the business for well over a decade, and probably experienced with it my entire lifetime. So that's what really grew my passion and love. And it was really the people. I realized that I feed off people's energy. and I feed off their love and I circle it back into them. Most people that work with me, they end up being friends or like family, or they keep those connections. I've never really had to market. I just start really pushing things on a social media platform, but literally the business was straight word of mouth, which was basically people felt like they had a great experience and wanted to share that experience with someone else and refer me out. And so I've always told people that's the best way to get business and the best way to get a certain type of clientele. You know, you're not always going to be the perfect fit for everyone. And it's important that we are, right? We're going to spend a lot of our time together. If I'm planning your event or your special moment, I'm getting to know every little thing about you. So I know exactly what you like, exactly what would make you cry, what would make you smile, what would shock you, amaze you, and put those little touches in there. And that's what lights up my day. That's the passion behind it all, just really being able to create something from nothing. And I think that comes from Melanin, right? That comes from me growing up and having little and making it much. And so that is literally what I do throughout my planning. I just thought about that and it just came to me. So
write that down.
Thank you for that question.
How impactful was it? I mean, obviously it was extremely impactful, but just explain, how impactful was it working with your mother? Because that kind of guided you on your path.
Absolutely. She is a bull. Like, she is a Taurus all the way. She is very strong, determined, gonna make things happen no matter what. And I'm a lot like that, quite honestly. In the face of adversity, there were several times where the city and the park district and different people wanted to shut down her event. Wow. And she would raise the money herself to throw the entire event for the city, or branch off or break off or find the support she needed. She would clothe kids so they can participate in it. We started getting school supplies. We turned it into scholarship donations. So with her, she really showed me it's not just about what you're doing, but it's the impact that you have on people's lives ongoing. At Violator All-Star retreat, one of the groups that were there, they're now grown men who are rapping, and they came up to me, they were like, you remember that talent show back for the city? We danced for you, and you would call us and you would give us money to get for gas to come perform. And I was like, oh my God, like, that's, you know amazing. What I mean? So you never know the impact that you make on people's lives. And that is what she taught me, you know, and that is what we try to instill in any event. It's not just an event, it's a moment in their life they may never forget, or that their guests may never forget. And it's a piece of happiness. The world is crazy enough. Give us 3-4 hours of happiness. If that's all that we can get, then we're gonna live it up. I believe in a good time. I am the turn up queen. So we're gonna have a good time, and we're gonna share some love.
Yeah, I love it. I love the fact that you have events like across the spectrum. So I saw you did an event for like B. Donna's, you did something at the Marriott, you just did a beautiful birthday party. I was like, when I grow up, that's how I'm gonna celebrate.
I got you. I'm ready to come to Vegas.
Man, yes, we have to talk. But I mean, how did you break yourself out of that box? Instead of saying I'm just a wedding planner, like, how did you do that?
You know what? That was kind of tough, because when you kind of get put in a box of, oh, okay, she wedding plans. And I was like, no, I do much more than that. You know, I love fashion. I love clothes, makeup. I love expressive. I love art. So we even got into networking events that were like fashion, art, and music. I'm a huge fan of music, any kind. And so I started talking to my business coach and marketing team. And I said, we got to figure out a way to break me out this box. This is not me. Like, Swan is a little bit of everything. And people who want to do business with me need to understand that too. I don't want them to think they're just getting one way. Because no, I can, you know, it's kind of like Megan Style. We can go from being classy, bougie to a little bit ratchet. You know what I mean? I want
that's my type.
Right. So I'm like, I want that spectrum. I want the people to see that I'm relatable to all different things, and I have these different sides of me. And so we became strategic with the type of events that we started doing and the type of things that I started sponsoring and being a part of. And that's kind of how we broke out into that. And then one of the culminations of this past year, we got to do it right before COVID hit, is I was a part of the team as the planner and overall VP of operations for Black Excellence Night with the founder, Deanna McGarry. And that was large. That was really big. We did it in conjunction at the American Airlines with the Dallas Mavericks, the NBA team. And we had the entire stadium to do that platform on the floor. And then we had a VIP room upstairs, an after party at the W. But we really got to show people Black excellence, what it looks like. We got to have some amazing discussions and panel series and empowerment movements, and actually connected people with corporations or organizations or entities that were hiring or just wanting to build that network, and then really have vendors in the American Airlines that are people of color, people of melanin, that were actually able to sell their products. Like, that doesn't happen in an arena.
Right.
And so that was major, and that was big, and that's a movement that I was excited to be a part of, and then Deanna gave me that opportunity. That was our second year, and we went bigger and better. So those are the type of things that Swan 7 loves to be a part of. There's a lot of times that I don't talk about it, probably. Sometimes I do, but I just sponsor things, right? Before Uncle Sam takes my money, I'm going to give it back to my community.
Right.
So being that I work full time and run my company full time, sometimes those funds, instead of Uncle Sam taking it, I'll funnel it back into my business or funnel it into our community through impacting them with scholarship or sponsorship. So I don't have a lot, but what I have is ours. So that was my mother's motto. That's one thing that she passed on to me. That's exactly what she did. I am the same way. We'll give you the shirt off our back, and we'll both be cute. So
okay. I love it. I love everything. So you said that you work full time, and when you were going to college, that's when you kind of started doing events for friends. What did you get your degree in?
So my bachelor's is in communications. And during that time, I was doing some event planning with a group called Squad, and we would throw the dopest parties on campus. And then, of course, I joined a sorority, so Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. And then, of course, that's all servicing events, business, organization, anything that you can think of on that front. And shout out to them, because they just actually gave me an alumni achievement award for the entire Southwest region.
Congratulations.
So thank you to them for my current service. So that was amazing. And then here, I think it's been about 3 years, I went back for my master's in business at the University of Dallas. So I completed that. And during that time, it's funny that you say that, because some of my counterparts corporately that were not of color, they were like, well, why are you going back? You don't need that degree. Like, you're already at a high status in marketing and sales, and that's not really necessary. And I looked them dead in the face and I said, because it's not for you, it's for me. I run my own businesses outside of corporate world, that I want to be savvy when it comes to multiple streams of income, how to manage my accounting and finances, business strategy, right? Coaching, all of that. A lot of times, a lot of Black businesses come to me for consulting or for branding, or just for, hey, can I run this past you, sis? And I'm a fan of that. I'm big of that. I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for other people in Black business that said, hey, what do you think about this? Or even my business coach is a person of color. And so his business marketing is of color. So I think that's important. There are a lot of times we don't talk to our business partners because we're so busy trying to think if we light someone else's light, it dims ours. And that's not true. And so we got to share our CRM tools, our marketing strategies, our business moves, so we can get what we need to get. And that's been really important to me now. I mentor people in the event planning industry. I tell them how to start their businesses and how to get up and running. It's not a competition. I can't do it all. I refer business out sometimes, a lot of times. And so in this industry, though, somehow we've gotten to the point where it's like, oh, this is mine. I don't want to share my greatness with you because then you'll get on the level of me. And that's absolutely crazy. There are billions of dollars in this world and we can all get it. Yes, and we got to get past that mindset because it was hard for me to have a mentor in this position and in this role. I have mentors and sponsors, people who are actually able to make financial moves for me, but they're not in my current select industry per se, doing exactly what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to see that more. I definitely want to see that more.
So with everything going on with COVID, how have you had to pivot your business? Because your business, I mean, I know you have a full-time job, but Swan 7 Productions, how have you had to make adjustments in order to be relevant right now?
Definitely have to pivot and pivot hard. I have had to do a lot of things virtually.
Mm-hmm.
I stay engaged with my audiences through lives, through podcasts, through recordings. I'm going into some more consulting and branding behind the scenes where I'm still making those financial streams. And then being kind of selective if I do events in person, then being selective with what those are so they're making an impact visually, just not visually for the audience and for the brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you are limited during COVID because of the safety, you want to make sure what you're doing is actually going to have a significant impact on your brand and it's worthwhile and advantageous for the buyer, right? You don't want to just take their money when you can give them a tool to implement it themselves and save themselves, because we're still in kind of financial duress. And so
Mm-hmm.
just being smart and being more strategic. I was blessed because the quarter prior to this was probably one of Swan 7's best financial quarters. And so I was able to be fine during this time and actually still be profitable.
Mm-hmm.
And really what I've done during this time is a lot of my vendor partners who I know have families or are struggling, I've actually collaborated or teamed up with them or poured other business back into them so they can kind of stay afloat, because they may have a different situation for me. I kind of have the corporate dream that can kind of fuel financially into my other streams if I need to. And not everybody has that. And so I've been very conscious about that. And I have some great people around me that I've really been able to lean on during this time. So
That's great. And that's so important, especially now, because, you know, it's real easy to kind of slide down and just be like stuck, you know?
Yeah.
So for Swan 7, what is kind of the big idea? Where would you, like, let's say 5 years from now, where would you love to see Swan 7 doing?
Planning one of Diddy's parties.
Ooh. And his parties.
At the Rock Nation brunch, organizing it.
Yeah. And that's so likely, because, you know, why not? Why not?
Yeah. I am, and that doesn't mean I don't want to still do what I'm doing at a ground level, but I want Swan 7 to be a household name.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that to have multiple branches under it. Before COVID hit, Swan was about to go into another stream that would bring Swan 7 to your house in the fashion world. So that's all I'll give you. That's a little sneak peek on that. That kind of got a hold because we can't really travel right now, go to the leather factories, but that's still in the works. And yeah, I want Swan 7 to be something that's attainable across the country, across the world. And so really branching off into different subsets and building on the team, building on the vendor relationships across the country. That is the next level of where I want it to go. And that household brand or name going into multiple streams and multiple things for our people, and then cycling back into education and mentorship. That was one of my foundations. Even before corporate, I worked with youth. And so that's been big on my heart. That was my first love. Before I joined the corporate world, even in college, I was like a director of college preparatory programs. I've been a teacher over the summer, a teacher's aide, like that is me. You get me in my element, teaching and connecting with not just adults, but with youth. And so somehow I do want to tie that back in, whatever that looks like. I have some amazing friends in education. So I'm sure they'll put me on something, some board or some school or some charter school. But yeah, that's what I see for Swan, and hopefully married and starting a family and all those good things. And we just building an empire and empowering our people on the way.
So with everything that you do, all the hats you have, the planning behind your business, because if you have a full-time job and then planning events, that's a lot. I feel like that's a full day.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
and a
how do you,
full night.
yeah, how do you stay level-headed? How do you make sure that you're okay in dealing with all that you have to deal with?
My friends and my loved ones, they keep me level. There are times where I'm like, today I don't want to be Superwoman. Today Superwoman is tired.
Mm-hmm.
And they feel me. They may send me a text message like, hey, love you. You're doing so good. And my boyfriend and my two bonus babies, his two children, they feel me because I love being with them because I tell them I get to be regular.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not corporate. I'm not Swan having to do an event and having to be stressed out. It's we're watching a movie or we're having a water balloon flight, which was what we're going to do after this. But I get to just relax.
Mm-hmm.
And so their love is unconditional, and my friends support me and we have a good time and we get to just relax and they take things off my plate. They know, like, if you call me, I don't want to plan where we're going to eat. I don't want to decide. I'm out of decisions. Like, y'all just take the ball and I just want to show up. I have been on all day. And so with that helps me to balance and then travel. I love to get away and experience and see something new and different. So this time has been a little difficult for me because I would have my toes in the sand literally every other month or on some island or some country or some state. Or eating something. I'm a foodie.
Mm-hmm.
And so music, I'd be doing something. And so that is my getaway. That is my middle ground. And then just my spiritual background and just really coming into myself and my inner being helps me a lot too.
So for someone who is, wanting to, let's say they're already doing little events,
Okay.
what would be your advice to them if they're trying to expand or even start their business in event planning?
I would say to get organized as much as possible. If that's the first piece of advice I could give you, and what that looks like is really having a project plan or outline or a timeline on how you conduct your daily business as well as your events,
Mm-hmm.
and being task driven, but then also allowing yourself to learn creatively, always be searching, always be looking, always educate yourself on the latest trends, what's coming up. And then if you can, invest in automation because it will save you time. I took a little while to do that, but it's the best thing. Invest in automation and have a small marketing budget where you can show people the value of what you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone can do what you do, but not everyone is you. And that is the difference maker. That is the value, and that is your value add. And so understanding that, being confident in that, then there's no reason your business can't be successful. So that would be the number one piece of advice, and getting your finances down.
Mm-hmm.
Being financially stable personally and within your business. And that is hard and it's a tough conversation. But if there is someone in your life who is financially savvy, as people of color, we got to be more open to being vulnerable and showing people what we're working with. Because sometimes we think, oh, I'm embarrassed. I don't want you to see this.
Mm-hmm.
My budget is here, my money is here, and that's embarrassing. No, it's not. We've all been there. We're sometimes all still there. But if you open it up to somebody you trust, we can show you how you can balance it just a little bit better,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where you're just above water and not sinking. And that is the tough thing. And that takes being vulnerable and willing to understand and learn, because sometimes we take jobs that won't sustain us.
Yeah.
And because we really haven't done that math and what it takes to really float each month.
Right.
And so those are the conversations and the things that I think if you're starting a business, you want to have with yourself. And until you have at least 6 months to a year saved up to sustain your business, then continue to work and run your business.
Definitely. Shout out to B. Simone.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Speaking
Yes,
of
yes.
PR, she definitely needs PR. Definitely needs PR. Like Olivia Pope to the 100th power. I think,
Yes.
to come back from this, because nobody is here for it anymore. It's crazy how things just keep coming up. I think once you do maybe one or two things, Twitter starts digging and finding any little thing to kind of pull back. Y'all got to be careful out there. Got to be real careful.
Twitter will come with a vengeance.
Yep.
Okay, if there's something to be found, once it's this, that's difficult. And yeah, that's all I can say to that.
Yes, and do background on your team. If they don't know what they're doing, don't hire them. Don't hire friends that don't know what they're doing. Also, you guys, I'll be careful out there, because that got her in a whole world of trouble.
Yes, it
is. So I was just going to speak on, you said automation, right? Can you go into that a little bit of what that means in your world, or what program?
Yes. So I really like to use CRM tools. They help with the customer management. So whether it be booking, sending contracts, scheduling appointments, whatever that can be done in an automated system or will automatically respond to your inquiries. It will send out your contracts, your invoices for payment, even some of your marketing highlights or things of that nature, or just being in touch. Hey, this month catch Swan on this, like whatever can be done on an automated stream or platform, or even some of your marketing. Sometimes your marketing budget may not be where you can pay an actual company, but maybe you can invest in some tools like Hootsuite or Canva, or there's so many different ones out there. But just kind of taking a few dollars to invest in yourself monthly to make sure that you're able to run your business at the level of where you want to go and not where you currently are. And that is the hard part, right? So I'm teaching myself, and I'm speaking to myself on this. If I want to run an event for Diddy, then I need to operate in that capacity right now. And so what does that look like? Does that look like building my team? Does that look like continuing to build off my branding and off the way I do business? Then then let's take a look at all of that right now. So that is the hard part, always realizing that you're constantly going to reach for the higher level and not getting complacent on the current one.
Definitely. So for someone who will want to, do an event with you, and how would that process go?
Okay. So they could first start by going on my website. And when you go on my website, you can click. I think the very first thing is first they'll probably tell you about the ebook, and you can download that and get some inspiration and find out more of who I am. But then you can click contact me now, or I'm ready to learn more. And then it will immediately allow you to submit an inquiry. If you're wanting to do an event, it'll ask you some specs on the type of event, your budget, what you're looking to do when you're looking to do it. And then the next step, when I receive that inquiry, I'll say, I'll respond to that based on what you've sent. We'll either schedule a 15-minute consultation to kind of go through it, to see if we're a best fit for each other, and then proceed down that path of booking or whatever that may be. Sometimes the fit financially may not be where someone can per se afford my services, but I still have services that I can provide. And so I've gone into more now being able to provide a planning template where, say you still want the Swan 7 experience, but you can't, the current budget doesn't allow, or maybe the current fit doesn't allow, right? Because it's not always finances. Sometimes it's just a fit or a stream where I recognize you really only need this one little smart part. So I can actually make a template that can help you to execute that for yourself. And so those are services and things that people are able to purchase with me now as well. So I found that to be a lot more helpful, because I don't want to just turn down somebody because it's not a fit or it's not the way. And then there are other situations, depending on where it is regionally, I'll refer them to another event planner that I know they can take on the scope of that project. So.
Yep, I think that's smart. Instead of just saying no, you offer maybe another type of service, which that's like supersizing at McDonald's. You still get a little something more. It's not anything just out the door. You still get something, or referring out, which also helps build your network. And
Definitely.
that gives people, more more drive to like help you. So I know if you're referring people to me, if someone's in your area that needs it, I'm definitely going to refer people to you. So it helps build, you know, a stronger foundation for your network. So I definitely love it. I love everything you're doing. I want to work with you out, you know, podcast events and all of that. So we definitely have to talk. But
we will.
Please let everyone know where they can find you and your website if they're looking to plan an event.
Okay. So you can find me at Swan724 on Instagram. On Facebook, that's Swan7 Productions. Website is www.swan7productions.com. Again, on Instagram, that's Swan, the number 7, and then the number 2 and 4. I can be reached. My team can be reached. Reach out to us if there's an experience or something that you're planning, something that you're thinking about, or that you need help with, or if it's production management, brand management, because we do some of that as well. Reach out to us. If you're an artist up and coming and you want some help and direction on your brand, I even have some people that I can connect you with as far as PR and servicing. And so anything that you want, whether it's experience or event, or even if it's, hey, I want a consultation with you so I can figure out the direction that I should go, or can you help me point me in the direction of people you can connect me with so I can get that information. That is the new way. That is what we're trying to do, to connect and make sure that you have what you want. Again, that's Swan724 on Instagram and Swan7 Productions on Facebook.
Make sure you guys support her and follow her. Make sure you follow Melanin Boulevard. Dropping episodes every Thursday consistently. Make sure you get you a t-shirt or a beach towel or a notebook or
something. I got to get my shirt.
Slap the link in the bio on Instagram or go to threadless.com/Melanin Boulevard. Make sure you tell your friends to tell their friends, and maybe we can be friends to tune in every Thursday. Bye, guys.